Good evening. Hello. How are you doing today? Battlefield 2042. A little bit of a live commentary, but I still have my thoughts collected enough. I have the main thought, that is, why is Battlefield 2042 boring? The rushed conclusion of this is because the gameplay is too arcadey and not unique enough. Now let me explain why. I'll get into it and explain, more in depth on how we get to that conclusion, I guess. The gameplay is way too generic, arcadey shooter, and there's not really a whole lot to actually do in the game other than unlocking the weapons. There is a technically mastery camo, but it's a singular camo. There's not like a camo grind like you would see in Call of Duty. To talk about it a little bit even more in depth, I guess loadout here. This is the battle pass weapon that I have on right here with a revolver. I have basically every weapon in the game actually unlocked, including battle pass weapons. I've never once paid for a battle pass or any microtransactions in this game. But the only thing that I don't have, I have like 3 pistols that are still locked that I haven't unlocked, and just because who really cares about secondaries that much? Problem-wise, to be honest, I feel like the biggest problem with this game, because I've been playing it, and I just can think to myself, because I really want to play Battlefield 4, and I want to play Battlefield 1 and 5, and I can't really. It's hard for me to, like, find good servers. I don't know if it has something to do with my networking, or like a network problem on my end, or if there's a network problem on the Battlefield end of finding servers or something weird like that. Because, like, Battlefield 5 or Battlefield 1, sometimes I'll try to look for a server, and there's just, like, 5 servers in total, in the US, and they're all like full. It's like, it's very weird. I don't know if like people don't play the game or if it's just like a problem on my end. I think it's a problem on my end, but minus that, I do want to play, those games, and 2042 is the easiest game for me to play just because I can load in, join a match, and it's, there we go. The biggest problem is like the gameplay just gets stale and boring. Like I was going through and I was trying to unlock all of the weapons. After unlocking all of the weapons, I realized that there really isn't anything to do. There was nothing to do beforehand, to be honest. That's why I started going through the process of, okay, I guess I'll unlock every weapon in the game. And then after doing that, realized that, wow, there really is nothing to do in this game. And I feel like most Battlefield games are like that, although in an own way. Obviously, there's challenges and stuff you can do. Like every game will have something to do, but compared to like Call of Duty, you have the camo grind. Like you have obvious challenges. Like you have the camo grind to do. You can unlock weapons by leveling them up and attachments and stuff, like the basic obvious stuff that you can do. Whereas Battlefield doesn't. It does have that. You can unlock attachments and stuff for weapons. Usually you just unlock them by, playing the game like you normally would. I feel like most games that have weapons and attachments, have that. 2042, it just feels lacking in that sense, unlock-wise. There's not really a camo challenge. We can take a look here. Let's go to our classes. Let's go to our collection. And every weapon has the same 2 camos, all right? So if we click on this weapon, we go to skins. As you can see, we have this skin right here, the Carbon series, that every other weapon in the game also has. And you get this within your first, I think, 20, maybe 50 kills, less than 100 kills, you get this weapon. Now I have this Boom Hazard, and this is like this isn't something that you unlock by getting kills. This is just like a weird type of like microtransaction thing. I don't know, like it might have been a free skin, but the Carbon Hazard is something that you can get on everything. That's part of like the camo grind. The other camo that is part of the camo grind also is this one right here. The tier 1 camo is the other camo that's part of the camo grind. As you can see right here, every other skin has this exact camo, and the rest of them, other than some of them being locked to level ups, like the rest of these are locked to like your, I think, base level. I don't know if they're locked to weapon level. They're kind of mediocre. These are generic skins that you can get on anything. These don't even look good, to be honest with you. Carbon series is pretty mid. The only really good looking skin here is the tier 1, but you need 1,200 kills with that weapon to get the tier 1 camo. Base game wise, you only have like 2 really camos in air quotations to get that are part of a camo grind. So it's like, okay, 1,200 kills for every weapon is kind of a lot, to be honest with you. So this is pretty far out of reach for like casual players, including myself. I have over 100 hours on this game, and I still have not gotten tier 1 on anything. Nowhere close. Because that's a lot to go through. Yeah, you could use one weapon to get 1,200 kills on it. It's not impossible. It's just a bit of a time sink there, Because it's like, if you want to go through and unlock all the other weapons, especially if you're a casual player and not going through all that. And again, like, some of these skins aren't bad. Like, I actually like this Year of the Dragon skin. Sadly, it's part of a goddamn bundle, and the rest of these, as you can see, cost money, you know, 500 bucks or whatever. And it's like, like the rest of these aren't cool. And then the skins that you do unlock, like these, are poopy generic skins that nobody wants to use. Like, you know, it's upsetting. You know, we could even take a look at this pistol here. It's got the same thing. You know, here's the tier 1 skin, looks cool. And then other than that, you have generic Carbon series. And minus that, what else is there to actually do in the game? I mean, if we take a look here, they did add a new rewards thing down here. So for the, you know, Year of the Dragon, there's 8 days left. We can get this really cool shotgun skin. When this Year of the Dragon thing is over, then what do you have to do? I mean, they act like the battle pass is, oh, the battle pass is worth it. You could just grind out your battle pass. The problem is that you can't make the battle pass the only way to actually make the game worth playing, because I don't pay for the battle pass. I paid for the video game. I paid money for this game. I shouldn't have to pay for a battle pass on top of that. And on top of that, the battle pass shouldn't be the only thing that makes the game worth playing, or is the only thing in the game that gives me some kind of reward and progression, considering that I paid for the game. This isn't a free-to-play game with a battle pass. This was a paid game that has a battle pass thrown into it. And I'm not paying for this battle pass. I don't plan on it. I don't like half the skins in the game to begin with. 90% of the skins in the store kind of look like dog shit, to be completely honest with you. They're not worth buying. Minus that, there genuinely isn't anything to look forward to in this game, unlock-wise. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are things that are worth forward. I guess I don't have everything unlocked. There isn't anything, I guess, I can unlock this helicopter. I'm not a vehicle user. I don't use vehicles either, so there's also that. But even if we look at specialists, like, you can get specialist skins, I guess. You know, like, you can get a combat uniform. Oh, get 100 spot or assists at this character, and you get the Hex Mesh Triweave. Wow. Okay. You know, there really isn't anything to grind. Like, there genuinely isn't, other than maybe mastery levels, but there's no unlock. There's nothing. There's no reward. You know, there's just no reward. That's the biggest problem. There's no reward. The game has no reward system. So that's a big bummer. And I talk about that with Team Fortress 2, is that when I play the game, there's no reward system for you to, like, gain anything. So that's why it kind of just gets boring for me. And gameplay wise, I still find TF2 more fun than this game would be, because again, at least the gameplay is extremely unique, with all, you know, 9 different classes being completely unique from each other. Something that I want to throw in here real quick after listening back to that is, yes, I know Battlefield 2042 does have specialist classes, and they have changed it up so you can't just play the same character for every class. Recon has specific characters to it, because every character does have their own abilities and different uses and utilities and stuff, but gameplay wise it doesn't change. Like, yeah, your character might have a grappling hook, or, you know, something like that, or, you know, something different. Maybe instead of a grappling hook you have a grenade launcher, you know, some special ability, or, you know, the wingsuit or something. Yeah, that can change up your gameplay slightly, but it's still, you're going to be doing the same exact thing on every character, minus that maybe extra, oh, you get a grappling hook, or you could call in a supply drop, or this character has a revive, you know, a gun that can heal people by shooting them. But it's like a tiny little pistol thing that you can shoot at people, and it shoots out syringes. But other than that, difference-wise is like TF2, literally every single class is a completely different gameplay experience, like full-on different. You know, like Spy, Engineer, you know, Heavy, you're going to have completely different play styles, and your gameplay is going to completely change depending on the class you pick. Whereas, you know, 2042, you pick Recon, it's going to be the same thing as Assault, because you can equip all the same exact weapons on both the classes, and it's just the same type of gameplay with slightly different, you know, grenade changes and whatnot, I guess. Whereas this game, you know, something that I really liked about the Battlefield series is that Battlefield 4 feels super unique and different with all of its weapons. Battlefield 1 is completely different than 4, and, you know, vice versa. Battlefield 5 is unique in its own way, because it feels like the gameplay feels slightly more arcadey than Battlefield 1, but it doesn't stray too far away from that Battlefield feel. If, you know, if you play Battlefield, if you're an avid, you know, Battlefield player, you play the Battlefield games, you kind of know what I'm saying. Whereas 2042 feels way more Call of Duty-esque, and the gunplay feels more arcadey, I guess, more akin to Call of Duty. And I'm not talking Call Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. I'm talking Call of Duty Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, like those older COD games. Feels just like generic arcadey shooter. And in the beginning, I kind of liked that more streamlined appeal of it. But after, you know, getting used to it, I realized, wow, this kind of sucks, because one of the big things about Battlefield was that Battlefield feel when you're playing a game, having that bullet drop with a sniper where you actually had to lead with your weapon. Nowadays, sniper rifles, you just point and click on the person's head unless they're like an extreme, you know, 1,000+ meter distance away. Even still, it's just very easy, and I'm fine with that. I don't mind having like a more arcadey, streamlined experience. The problem with that is you have this streamlined experience and everything, but you have no reward system. Like, you know, I went to play Battlefield 1, 4, and 5 to get that, you know, I could just play those games without worrying about a reward system or unlocks, because I just enjoyed the feel of the game. You know, it felt, it had more of a sandboxy feel. It wasn't super arcadey and like the, you know, it wasn't super hit scanny. You still had a bit of a bullet time going on and whatnot, and then you still had a reward system and actually things to like unlock and do in that game, you know, the other Battlefield games. But I don't know, it just feels so empty, you know? Like, I get on and I'm just like, what is there to actually do? On top of that, the maps suck for this game. All of the maps suck. I'm gonna be completely honest. 90% of the maps for this game blow ass. It does not help that the maps are really bad. Like, they're boring. All right, like the map that I'm currently playing on sucks. Like, it's not like, this is one of the better maps too, and that's, you know, that's yeesh, you know, it's like map that sucks is one of the better maps. Like, oh my, okay, you know, that's a rough one, but to say that, but it's true. Like, this really isn't like really not like, I mean, if anything, you could even say that all of the maps in this game are bad, and I think it's just it's a whole lot of mid, you know, and it switched classes. The game just automatically switched my class. I don't even have the sniper equipped. I don't even have the sniper equipped. I did not equip. When did I ever equip this sniper rifle? What? It completely switched my class to recon. Bugs like that persist in the game too. I have so many times where if I change my primary weapon mid-game, after I respawn, or if I search for a new game, it will change my primary weapon that I had equipped. It's so weird. There's so many weird problems with this game. You know, I had a lot of hope for this game. I was expecting it to get updated in the future and like actually, you know, be better over time. And it's gotten better bug-wise, I guess, and stuff. I mean, not really like there was any bugs to begin with. It's just so, I mean, I guess the game was broken on launch, but it just feels so mediocre. It feels like a game wearing the skin of Borderlands, if that makes sense. Like, it feels like it's a different game wearing the skin. I said Borderlands by accident, my bad. I just made a Borderlands video. Battlefield. It feels like an arcade shooter that's wearing the Battlefield skin. It's wearing the skin of Battlefield. Like, does that make sense? It feels like another game is wearing this game's skin. Like, it feels like a studio that like it feels like you had a dream about Battlefield and you tried to like make your own Battlefield game based off of that dream you had. Does that make sense? I feel like that's a good way to describe it. Like, it just doesn't like it's a very vague recollection of what Battlefield is. That's what this feels like. It's just a vague memory of what once was. It feels like a shell of what it used to be. It's just, you know, looking on the inside in, you go, oh, it's a Battlefield game. It looks like Battlefield. You got the vehicles and the big open maps, and then you play the game, and it's like, wow, these maps are so flat and open and flat. Wow. And on top of that, you have this player base that's divided between two different modes. You have 128 player mode, and then you have the 64 player mode, which is, you know, 128 is 64 versus 64. 64 player mode would be 32 versus 32. That is because last gen consoles, Xbox One and PS4, can't play on the 128 player mode. They can only play on the 64 player modes. For some reason, I guess the game, even though the game graphically is not good looking graphically at all, to be completely honest with you, it's not bad looking, but like PS4 should be able to run this game. I don't know why it can't. I guess it's just poorly optimized. I guess the maps are just too big, maybe. Minus that, so they're stuck on 64 player consoles, so any 128 player lobby can only be played by next gen and PC players, which one of the big selling points of this game was 128 player lobbies. And then you just kind of have an entire section of people that can't play those new lobbies, which fair enough, fine. You know, when you have that separation, you're going to have a player base that's fanned out. And the problem with that was originally on launch, they had 128 and 64 player lobbies for everything. They had everything split. Nowadays, there's only 64 player lobbies. They don't do any 128 player. Now, this mode, luckily, Rush XL will sometimes be a mode that, you know, rotates in. So this is a Rush XL type mode. And it's basically Rush, but with 128 players. Now, they used to have Breakthrough 128, which was actually really good. It was Breakthrough with 128 players. But they recently made it, and they got rid of it. I guess they canned it. So if you're going to queue for a casual match, your options are Conquest 128 players, Conquest 64, which is 64-player Conquest, and then you have Breakthrough 64, and then like a random-ass other mode. You know, you have Portal and whatnot. And the problem is that everybody on the enemy team wants to run right past me to get to the point without realizing that I'm sitting right here. The problem is that these maps were all like basically 90% of the maps to 99% of the maps, other than like one of them, or one or two maps, which, you know, are DLC maps, feel like they're made for 128 players. So basically, virtually all of the maps in this game feel like they were made for 128 players. Now, the problem is that you're playing 64-player modes on 128-player maps. And this would work. All you have to do is section off the maps. Battlefield has actually done this before with specific game modes. You know, take a game mode like TDM or something else where you have a smaller amount of players than you normally would. You just simply section off the version of the map. You just make it a smaller player area, and it could theoretically work really well. The problem is that they don't do that with the 64 player modes. I'm almost like 99.9% sure, and if they do, they're not sectioning it off well enough, because 64 player Breakthrough sucks. It's awful. It is straight up awful. 32 player versus 32 player Breakthrough is really, really bad 99.9% of the time. Every time I've tried playing that mode recently, it has been the worst. It's not been awful. The problem is it is extremely boring, because it is actually so hard to find players. You have to run through the map for a solid 5 minutes. It's basically like playing Conquest. You know, it's like time to run for 10 minutes to just die to somebody 2 minutes later. Like, it's kind of rough. The maps are too big, and even if they are slightly edited versions to work on a smaller player number, it still doesn't work out in the end. The map still feels way too large for the number of players that you're playing with. The map that I just played on here, this map, on this, it feels exactly the same size on 64 player mode. It just doesn't work. 128 player is fine. Now, there are two modes in this game that I do find actually enjoyable. One mode I find the most enjoyable in this entire game is actually Rush, and that is specifically Rush XL. Rush XL is without a doubt the best mode in Battlefield 2042, and it's actually the only reason why I come back to play 2042. The problem is, for some reason, they decided to make their best mode ever a rotation mode that comes in every other week, if not like once a month, which sucks because, well, it's a rotation mode. So if we stop queuing here and we look at the modes, with minus the Lunar New Year Dragon Rushes, which is Rush XL, you have Conquest, Redacted Conquest, which is this still 64-player Conquest. You have Conquest 64, which is just 64-player Conquest. And then you have 128 Conquest and then solo co-op, but who gives a shit? Breakthrough, Infantry Breakthrough, which is just, you know, no vehicles, 64-player. Then you have Normal Breakthrough, which is, again, 64 players. And then you have Rush and TDM. Luckily, they have Rush Chaos XL, which, surprisingly, Rush Chaos XL was not here a week ago. This mode did not exist pre this mode. I really hope this mode stays permanently, because now I'm contradicting myself. This mode was not here a week ago. Before the Lunar New Year update dropped a couple of days ago, Rush X Chaos XL did not exist. It was a rotation mode. It was just it was normal, like 16 versus 16 Rush or something like that. It was something stupid like that. It was not. It wasn't normal Rush XL. And then they have TDM, which TDM's actually okay. It's not that bad because it's a smaller version of the map, but it's still kind of boring. And then they have Portal, and these modes kind of rotate out every so often. So like you'll see 2 different featured modes here, Battlefield World Tour. And Portal mode is actually one of the more fun versions of this game, at least on launch it was. World Tour is really fun because it just cycles through all of the versions of Battlefield. So you'll be playing with Battlefield 2042 classes, and then you'll be playing with Battlefield 3 classes, Battlefield Bad Company 2 classes, or Battlefield Bad Company 2 classes, 1942 maps and classes. That's actually a lot of fun. Portal's a lot of fun. You can do crazy stuff with it. Again, you're not going to always find a game mode that you're looking for on the Portal mode, and plus Portal might limit you with items. You might join a server and they might only have specific weapons and classes you can use. So usually a lot of the time I like to play the normal modes, and for a good long time Rush XL just didn't exist at all in the normal modes. And I've always talked about, at least to my friends, how Chaos XL or Rush XL should be a permanent mode. I really hope this stays permanent. I'm going to be honest. I've been saying this 100 million times to myself already, like over the past year now. It's the only reason why I play the game, to be honest with you. Because all of these other modes kind of blow ass. Conquest kind of sucks. I'm not a fan of Conquest in any Battlefield game. I enjoy playing it with friends to an extent, but even then I actually don't enjoy it because it just feels too open and it feels like a battle royale. I know people enjoy it, and I'm not going to get too, talk about it too much because people are going to hate my opinions like they always do. So I'm just not going to talk about it too much. I'm just not a fan of Conquest, really. I just don't enjoy it. I could have some fun with it sometimes, depending on the situation. But when I'm playing by myself, I like to play something like Breakthrough or Rush. I enjoy Rush a lot. And Breakthrough to 64, I would play it to show you what it's like. But I'm going to be honest. I don't want to play it just to show you what it's like. Never mind, we're going to play it. I'll prove to you. I'll show you what it's like. I'll show you what it's like. Okay, so here we are. This is a DLC map, and this map isn't actually, not a DLC, but it was a new map post-launch that they had added. And this is actually a really decent map. So hopefully this works out pretty well, although there are vehicles and stuff. So again, 32 versus 32, it works for other Battlefields, but again, these maps were made for 128 players. Some of the newer maps are not as crazy flat and open. Like, this is actually a very good map, to be honest with you. So very well made map compared to the launch maps. Like, the launch maps in this game aren't good at all. This weapon's kind of nasty, to be honest. So, I might contradict and I don't want to say contradict myself, but me talking about how, not well made it is. I might have to leave the lobby. Again, if you've played this map on 128 players, you would know that it's a far more enjoyable experience. It's a bit crazier because this is very lackluster. Like, there's not really a whole lot going on right here. It's very calm for a Battlefield game. It kind of is really calm. You can imagine this with 128 players, where you have double the amount of players on both sides and there's constant gunfire and stuff. Like, really the only problem we have on our team right now is this single helicopter shooting at our teammates. That's the only problem going on right here. Like, there really isn't. As an example, we could walk all the way over to the other side of the map here, and this guy just wants to... The problem is, like, with the 64 player mode is you either have one giant cluster or you have just, like it's too spread out. As you can see, so bomb site A1 over here, nothing's happening. There is nothing going on over here. I mean, here comes a vehicle, thankfully. Like, we actually have something, but player-wise, there's no enemies here, because there's not enough enemies to begin with. So yeah, there's a single guy right there, but other than that, I mean, it's just our team sitting here, like, the enemies are going to take A2 in a large group, and obviously it's easier to take a bomb site or, an objective if you have a full team with you, but this mode is way more enjoyable. I mean, even this map is a million times more enjoyable on 128 players than 64. Again, this map is one of the better maps in the entire game. Like, this is probably the best map in the entire game, if not the second best map. And it's still kind of, calm and, I don't want to say boring, but, it's slower waiting. Yeah, we might get more action now that they've actually capped the other flag. Damn, this thing fucking mops. Holy moly, dude, the battle pass weapons are always nasty. Okay. Really wish I got into a map that wasn't this one. And there we go. We captured A2 again because the majority of the enemy team decided, okay, they have A2, time for them to go over to A1, and then we just immediately cap A2 again. A lot of 64 player modes tend to end up like this. Not a lot of them, but there's a decent amount of times where you'll have a stalemate and the enemy team won't even be able to push past the first two objectives. These are the first two objectives, and like on the entire map. If they're not coordinated enough or just, you know, not able to do it, they can't really cap like the first 2 points because there's just not enough people. Okay, so if their entire team goes over and caps A2 or A1 and then decides to rotate all across, well then our entire team can easily just walk over to the other objective, recap it, and just sit there and wait for them, or, you know, vice versa. While they're running over to A2, okay, let's go back and cap A1 because they're all over at A2, you know? And even on top of that, yes, you could split up your player, you know, your teammates and, you know, everybody. You know, you could split objective-wise. You have half people go to one objective, half go to the other. But again, this isn't, you know, a squad. This isn't a full team. This isn't clan battles here. Not everybody's in a Discord together, so it's just varying, you know, varying skill gaps and stuff. So, you know, it just really feels like a lot of the maps and modes were, I don't want to say modes, but a lot of the maps were just made for 128 players. This map is a horrible example, though, to be honest with you. I mean, it's still a decent example. I would like to show you what it would look like on 128 players. Actually, you probably can see my 128 player lobbies if you go and check out my other Battlefield 2042 videos. I have a couple of videos where I'm unlocking the weapons, some of the weapons. I was doing videos on those, and I have played that specific map, and I think it was on 128 players back when it first released, so you could check that out and see what I'm talking about. I'm basically done here. I want to wrap up the video. I just want to show you what I mean by, you know, this mode being lackluster. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. I just wanted to make a brief talk about with Battlefield 2042. This is very opinionated. This isn't like factual or anything. This is just off the dome how I felt, because I've played a lot of Battlefield 2042s. I've played it since its release, actually. I've genuinely played it since release. I bought the $100 edition to get it a week early, refunded it, and then I bought it on sale a month later because the game was half off. It was $30 on Epic Games Store, so that's why I own it on the Epic Games Store instead of Steam. So yeah, I've had the game since launch, and again, I don't hate it. It is possibly, I think it's my most played Battlefield game, which is saying something. It's also the only Battlefield game that is crossplay. There's also that. I did play it a lot with a friend on Xbox, and it's a bit boring, but it's worth the pickup. I don't know. It's Battlefield, you know. It's a weird Battlefield title. If you haven't played it, I would suggest picking it up. It's not buggy. It's not like as bad as it was on launch, and I understand people's remorse of not wanting to pick it up ever. They just don't like the looks of it and stuff. That's understandable. Anyway, that's all I want to talk about. Battlefield 2042. It's okay. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one.